up next on the Pub Channel, sorry, no trainers. Many local authorities make it a condition of granting a public entertainment licence or allowing extended hours that door supervisors are employed. And from April 2005, all those door supervisors need to hold a licence from the Security Industry Authority. This programme supports the British Institute of Innkeeping's National Certificate for Door Supervisors, which is recognised by the SIA. So, what makes a good door supervisor?
Nah. You can't come in here. I'm in charge.
No, that's not the way to do it. During this programme, you'll see occasional examples of the behaviour we don't want to see from door supervisors. But most of the time, real-life, licensed door staff will be showing how to do the job properly.
The role of door supervisors changed considerably over the last 5 or 10 years. They're no longer the hired gunman on the door. They're actually more of a customer support.
Door supervisor nowadays is very much there for customer safety and to uphold the licence of the venue to make sure that no laws are being broken.
Controlling access to and from the premises, making sure the right type of customers come into the venue, making sure they're safe and happy, making sure the staff and the management are happy.
And they're also responsible for everything that goes on within the premises. They're looking after the members of the public who are in there, making sure that everything is running smoothly, and looking after their colleagues who may be other members of staff working within the premises.
When we work internally, it involves looking out for situations that can potentially turn bad and preferably stopping them before anything happens.
A good door supervisor has to be confident and assertive when they need to be, but definitely act in a fair manner without any sort of discrimination.
The licensee is the person who is ultimately responsible for everything that goes on within the club. They may well give that responsibility to a security firm or whatever, but ultimately the licensee is the one person who has the ultimate responsibility for what goes on.
The qualities that we look for here in Barvan are very simple. We don't look for physical presence, we look for people with personalities and the ability to communicate with all levels of customer.
It's essential that the door supervisors and everybody who has a role within a town centre does work together. The police aren't the only organisation who have a responsibility for looking after the public.
It's no longer a them and us approach. It's very much working in cooperation with the local authorities, licensing enforcement, local police and fire authorities, etc.
The police have limited resources. They can't be everywhere at once, and we rely on lots of eyes and ears around the town centre.
Door supervisors can feel safe that if they do need to call the police or local authorities, they'll come down to them, and they won't be coming down in the attitude of waving a big stick, etc., and being negative towards them. They'll act as a supportive measure.
The Security Industry Authority Code of Behaviour sets the standards of behaviour that all door staff need to keep to. The Code of Behaviour deals with these 4 areas.
Door staff in the past do have an image of being, shall we say, either overzealous or have a very threatening nature. That's all now changing. They have to be calm, they have to be professional, and they have to make sure that they approach every incident making sure that they're safe, that their colleagues are safe, and more importantly the customers are safe as well.
As far as behavioural standards are concerned, it's very important. I think a lot of people out there would have a stereotype in their head of what a door supervisor is all about, or a bouncer as they would put it, and it basically moves away from that image. We're a professional industry now, and we want people to realise that.
People have a choice, and they're going to go to where they're going to feel safe and welcome, rather than being met on the door with a grunt.
The door supervisor has to remember that they work on behalf of the licensee, and so it's important to make sure that they know what the licensee wants in their unit and what they don't want.
The one thing that you want to do is regulate or have the right customer for the right environment in your doors. the door staff crucial, as if they understand your offer, then they can get the right person in the door at the right time.
You have to be able to work with different management. You can be working three different venues, say, in 1 week, and that's going to be 3 different managers, 3 different management teams. You have to be able to adapt to working under their rules in the way they want you to.
Cheers, lads. Thank you.
No, you can't come in here.
It's important that the door supervisor is clearly identified in a uniform, or definitely stands out from the rest, so that, you know, when they go into situations or when they have to ask people to leave or deal with something, that they can be seen as a figure of authority.
If we look scruffy, they're not going to have any respect for us. We also look like we work as a team if we're all very smart and look the same.
Very important for the door supervisors to promote the right image for that venue and themselves. We will personally get more respect by being dressed smartly.
Hey, you've got to be 18 to get in here, kid. On your way.
Our attitude when customers come in is quite important, because if we're friendly to them, they're going to want to come into our premises, whereas if we've got an attitude, they're not going to want to, you know, they'll choose somewhere else where they can actually have a good time without feeling like we're constantly watching them.
You've got to be attentive, polite, courteous, but obviously firm in your manner that you do with customers.
The door staff have to be aware of what the surroundings, what's actually happening in their surroundings.
What's going on in the street, what's going on in your venue.
Effective listening, actually trying to find out what's going on in the club at any one time, making sure if there are problems or there is any pushing and shoving, they are there to make sure that problems are sorted out proactively, rather than standing by waiting for a fight to happen and then wading in and throwing people out onto the street.
You can't come in here in trainers, you dozy prat. Get out of here.
Customer care skills are very, very, very important. Simply opening the door for somebody, good evening, good night, things like that go a very long way. And certainly, if you don't, and you're rude and, you know, impolite to people, you know, they remember that. They won't say it to you on the way in, but they'll think it as they go to the bar. And when it comes to later on and you've got to clear the venue out, etc., they'll be the last ones to leave.
A surprisingly large amount of our time is spent in directing customers to cigarette machines, the toilets, cash machines outside, taxi ranks, things like that. So basically, you know, we're a customer information service as well.
Door supervisors may, you know, have a genuine reason to ask someone to leave or refuse them entry, but if they don't speak clearly, or they speak in jargon or something like that, it comes across the wrong way, and again it can cause frustration or conflict between the door supervisor and the customer they're talking to.
We're taught that, you know, one of the factors in triggering a dispute can be the use of swear words or use of bad language, intimidating people. So we do modulate our language.
There's always been a tendency for door supervisors to very much, you know, not be clear on in personal space, invading personal space, and inevitably what happens is that causes conflict.
After the break, we'll be going into more detail about the best way to carry out your duties as a door supervisor. Your job as a door supervisor, whether it's part of your regular duties or you only take it on occasionally, is a vital element in the success of the pub or club where you work. People who work in licensed premises have a duty to make sure the law is upheld. You also have a social responsibility to see the premises are run smoothly and safely. There are two sorts of inspection that may take place to ensure that all is well in your premises. A full inspection happens about once a year, when the building is checked to make sure that everything is being properly maintained. The authorities can also make spot checks while the pub is open.
The idea behind those inspections isn't to catch the licensee out, it is to make sure they are complying with the fire safety legislation and with any particular licensing legislation that may apply that we may have some input for and reporting to the local licensing officer.
The periodic licensing inspections, although they can come at a difficult time for us when we're probably trading at our highest, are quite crucial because it does throw up or can throw up issues that you tend to overlook on day to day. It's lovely to have a fresh set of eyes come in and have a look at your place where you may see it day to day and not see the issues that are there.
Door supervisors will always do pre-entry checks. It's basically the safety of the unit and the customers that are about to go into that unit. If you think that a door supervisor starts at 7 o'clock or 9 o'clock and the venue's just been opened, it's not so much of a problem, but nowadays a lot of door staff turn up units that have been open throughout the day, and obviously they need to check things like fire escapes.
Basically we make sure all fire exits are clear.
Customers will often take off their coats when the pub or club is open, obviously getting warm, and their tendency is they can dump them in front of a fire exit door. And it's important for the people who are working in the premises to keep an eye on that and make sure that the doors are freely available for escape purposes.
We open all the doors, check there's nothing blocking them externally, because there can be cars parked outside fire exits, etc.
A very common thing to open a fire exit and find rubbish bags, etc. outside that could block the fire exit in the event of an evacuation.
The chains aren't on the doors because fire exits are normally chained at night.
If people go to use a fire escape and it's not freely available and there is an emergency, the likelihood is that people will die.
Basically making sure that all the equipment works, radios, clickers.
We check the fire extinguishers haven't been tampered with.
Make sure the fire alarms work.
We check exit signs are lit properly.
Make sure that break glasses haven't been tampered with.
And first aid kits, things like that as well, door supervisors would check to make sure they're in place where they're supposed to be and that there's the adequate amount of first aid equipment inside the box.
Let's just recap the headings that might be on your pre-entry checklist. Where you work, what is your responsibility for each of these areas? In order to do your job properly, you need to know what the admission policy is in your premises. There are some people you must keep out by law. There may also be house rules, for instance a minimum age or a dress code. Do you know the house rules where you work? If the place where you work has a public entertainment licence, it will almost certainly give the maximum number of people allowed to be in the building at any one time.
Yeah, come on in. Yeah, the more the merrier. It's okay.
The fire authority will recommend a number to the local licensing authority of people that we believe it's safe to accommodate within that premises, and most importantly, the number who can get out safely. And so we will look at the plans and we'll make calculations based on the floor capacity within the premises and also the number of doors that the premises were provided with to ensure that people can get out safely.
If a club or pub is found to exceed the numbers and is shown to have done that deliberately in order to make extra money, it's very likely that the local authority or the police would take action against the club or pub and have them closed down.
Where it might appear as though you do have some quick wins by actually cramming more people in the door, the fact is, and will always remain, that if there is ever an issue or a situation where you need to clear your bar, exceeding the limit is not going to help you whatsoever. It makes it more difficult for your door staff to understand and control the situation.
It's important for us to monitor the amount of people coming into the premises. We quite often get groups of people that want us to go over by one or two because there's a whole group and a couple of them can't get in. Obviously, we have to stay within the licence and we are only allowed so many people on the premises. So we really have to be strict in the fact we can't even go over by one.
When the door security team come on duty, they should do a very thorough head count, and they'll have 2 tally counters, go around the unit, count everybody, including staff, and then they'll take those tally counters back to the front door, and from then on they're counting every single person that comes in, every single person that leaves.
In you go. Come on.
We obviously have to monitor the amount of people that come in, the age of people, people bringing in things they shouldn't.
If you've got a queue, the door supervisor can certainly be proactive there by actually wandering down the queue and maybe picking out people that are possibly underage or IDing people in the queue.
If there's groups that are either very drunk or under the influence of drugs or just generally have a very silly attitude, obviously it's going to cause problems when they come into the club.
It eliminates the stress or the possibility of arguments at the front door when they've been queuing up for half an hour, 35 minutes, etc.
There are some people you always have to allow in, such as the police, environmental health officers, customs and excise officers, and the fire authority. But when it comes to customers, you have the right to prevent unsuitable people coming into your premises, or to ask customers to leave if they start to behave badly once they are inside.
There's several reasons why someone may be refused entry. For example, if the venue was at capacity and the venue was full, you'd obviously not be allowed to let people in. Certainly if someone was under the age, under 18, or had excessive alcohol, or was under the influence of drugs.
We also sometimes refuse entry due to the dress code. We don't allow trainers at weekends, shorts, flip-flops, things like that. So people may get turned away. However, we do give them the option of going home and getting changed and coming back again. So,
if someone was a known troublemaker, known to the door staff or local authorities.
Pub Watch now incorporates using photos of known troublemakers. They'll be passed around different venues. Obviously the confidentiality we kept to those who need to know.
Anybody that refused to pay or was unable to pay the admission fee.
Also people bringing things in they shouldn't, illegal substances, weapons.
If a door supervisor asked to carry out a search on somebody, or at least ask permission to carry out a search, and they refuse.
Their attitude outside, we tend to monitor groups of people outside and see how they're behaving, because obviously if they're behaving outside like that, they're going to behave in the club the same.
A door supervisor must not refuse entry on the grounds of race, sex or disability. It's equal opportunities, and certainly not just because someone's got a ponytail.
If we are going to refuse entry to someone, we do have to be polite, just make it known exactly the reasons they're being refused.
The important thing to remember is that you're not refusing entry to that person because of a personal vendetta or personal thing. It is for either the licensing law or for a safety reason. It's for a good reason.
Also, you want their return custom. You don't want to turn away good money. Obviously, we are a barrier to the management or the venue attaining their revenue for that night, and the reasons have to be legitimate ones. So the management do have to trust us in our judgment.
Sometimes you may want to search people before allowing them in. Policy on searching people may vary from pub to pub. For instance, you may search every 10th person, as well as those you suspect of carrying illegal substances or weapons.
If a door supervisor is looking to search somebody, then the first thing they have to do is ask their permission. The door supervisors don't have the right to search people without their permission. So if the door supervisor or I myself was actually about to search somebody, I would say, "Good evening, I'm Mark, head doorman, etc. and would you mind being searched?" as part of a random search procedure. Providing the permission's been given, then that venue should have a designated search area, and that person would be asked to go to that designated search area, empty their pockets out, etc., and then go through a thorough search procedure. If nothing's found and everything's fine, then they'd be allowed to enter the venue.
Oi! You! Out!
You have a duty to evict people from your premises if they are behaving illegally. But there are general procedures you should follow to help this happen smoothly.
If someone that's already in the club is going to start playing up, something spotted, we normally will go over and ask them to calm down or keep the tone down or whatever it is they're doing wrong. If they persist, we then make sure there's a backup member of staff with us just in case it turns nasty. They're normally given a second warning, and they are told that if they don't behave, they will then be asked to leave. If then obviously they don't follow what we've asked them, then they are normally asked to leave the premises.
If they're still not leaving, then they'd have to be removed from the unit with necessary and what's reasonable force. Nothing excessive, but the minimal force to remove them from the unit safely.
I tend to be more backup unless I'm actually needed, observing the crowd, the attitudes of the friends of the guy that's being ejected from the club, because obviously you can have potential situations where the friends try and get involved. I'm also there, I can call for extra assistance if it's needed.
When the individual's been removed, the most important thing then is to make sure that a record is kept in the incident book and the door supervisor's personal notebooks of times, descriptions of what happened, anything that was said, or any key things that may be referred to in the future.
Unfortunately, arguments do break out on licensed premises, and these problems are made worse if any of the participants use weapons. It is illegal for anyone to carry an offensive weapon, and that includes you.
There are three categories of offensive weapons and three ways of explaining it. The first category would be any item that is made or designed to cause injury, and that, for instance, would be a diver's knife or some item that's been made specifically to cause injury. That's a very simple one to take on board. Another example of that would be a martial arts star that can be found out and about, and they are deliberately made to cause injury. The second item would be something that has been adapted to cause injury. An example of that would be an aluminium comb that's had the handle on it sharpened, and that's been adapted to cause injury. That would be the second category. And the third category would be any item at all, and it could actually be the chair which I'm sat on. If I picked it up and used it against somebody to cause injury to them, that could be classed as an offensive weapon.
What's the matter with you? What the hell do I do now?
We are not going to attempt to train you in first aid in this programme, but your venue must have a first aid box equipped with suitable items, and at least one member of staff should be trained to provide first aid, and you need to know who that is and how to contact them.
It's all very well having a first aid box, but who actually goes to get the first aid box? Who is the first aider? Things like that, and they're very important that they're known before the shift starts.
In this venue, I will be covering the door with another colleague, but the security team inside the venue, as we're all first aid trained, they will be the first at hand to deal with the situation.
Door supervisors must be prepared for emergencies. You may have to deal with any of these.
Most venues will and should have an emergency code word, which will mean either a fire or a bomb alert, which would be able to be put over the radio net to the door security and licensees or management team, and they'll know exactly what it means without panicking the customers.
Basically, if we do have an emergency situation in the building, we do all have to remain calm. We all have to know the drill of where to go. If the customers see us panicking, obviously they're going to panic as well.
The licensee is responsible for the premises, and they need to make sure they've passed on the fire procedures onto the door staff, who may work in a number of different premises.
It's also quite a general assumption that if the fire alarm goes off, it automatically goes through to the local fire brigade, but many times that's not the case. So it's important for the door security team to know who is responsible for calling the fire brigade, whether it be that someone is designated to carry a mobile or a key to an office, for example, to actually get to a phone to call 999.
The important thing that I would like to make sure people do is get out safely and get the customers within the premises out safely.
Unfortunately, many licensed premises have to know how to recognise the signs of drug taking and dealing. Look out for the programme on drugs awareness produced by the Pub Channel with the BII. Wherever you work, there will be a logbook for recording incidents. This is called a security incident logbook. You should also keep a personal notebook. It is very important to keep the details of any incident in which you are involved.
For recording of any incidents, we're all required to carry little black books, the type the police use. And if we're personally involved in the situation, we'll take time off, take 5 minutes out, to go somewhere quiet, write down the specific details of that incident.
Times, descriptions of people involved, that can be for refusing entry next time if there's people being involved. We also, if it goes to court, obviously we have our books as evidence.
It's very important they do it very, very quickly and put it into an incident book straight away, because it's very, very easy to forget certain details of height or clothing description or even what was said at the time. And the other reason why you should do the incident book straight away is because hopefully the witnesses or any witnesses you might have may still be on site.
Preservation of evidence is vitally important. If you're unlucky enough to have a major incident happen within your premises, the police will need all the assistance they can to track down the offender. And it may just be a spot of blood, it may be a cigarette end or some tiny piece of evidence. Once the incident's been dealt with and anybody who's injured is taken away, we would ask that the area is cleared and a record is made to show who has been in and out of that scene, and nothing is actually removed. None of the glasses, ashtrays or any other items should be removed from that area until the police have taken over the scene.
When filling out the incident book, it's important to, if you've got a licensee or you've got someone that was actually present, a witness, then definitely it's good for them to have some input or at least sign it, countersign it to say that what you've written is accurate.
And then at the end of the night, we all have a debrief session, and all the incidents will be transferred to a main book which will be held in the office, which can be used by police if needs be, if the situation needs further investigation. Customers these days are very aware that door supervisors have to go through certain training, and if you don't comply, they will point it out to you. They won't be shy. They'll come up and say, I don't think you're acting as you should do. You should have been professionally trained, and they will complain.
There's a million and one things to do on a busy night without having to worry about who's in the door, what's happening, and how you're going to control the situation. Having door staff who understand your offer, understand what you're all about, and understand the customer is a great benefit.
For details on how to order a handbook for the National Certificate for Door Supervisors, contact the BII head office, who can also tell you about their other qualifications. To learn more about the drugs element of this certificate, watch the Drugs Awareness programme here on the Pub Channel.